Hi everyone, welcome to All One Sun, and my name is Allison. And the topic today is everyone a starseed? Okay, well, I was watching something and I saw someone talking about this, and I just had to do a video in regarding to this because I just knew that they were kind of off. This would kind of remind me of I used to on occasion listen to Abraham Hicks. I remember when she used to talk about that Esther, the lady who channeled, would be watching something and she just knows that it's not right, and she would just like, oh, I can't watch it, and she goes, and yet she'll just keep on watching it. But I get like that when I'm watching something and all of a sudden you just know that, I don't know if you get like that, you just know that what they're saying is just not true, and it goes against your spirit. I can't listen to it. I can't continue. I don't know how she could do it, but I have to turn it on. And I did try to go back to it, and I just couldn't watch it because So anyway, I thought I would just do a a video on it. Now, are we all star seeds? No, we are not. How do I know? Because my spirit tells me, my guides tells me, and I'm telling you, we're not. It is such a traumatic experience for our soul that has not been unhurt before, or even if it has been, because some star seeds has come on the planet before to help out in certain time frame. Sometimes when a planet has just been seeded, and so sometimes, but even though it is such a traumatic experience to come in, it you just know, and you know from a really young age. Okay, and I went over this before in another topic. How do you know you're a star seed? So you just know. There's no doubt about it. You'll know. And besides from the loneliness, and from the knowing that you're from somewhere else, and you have certain contacts when you're young, you just know. There's no ifs, ands about it. You just know. That's it. Okay. So now, if you're not a star seed, what are you? And I'm going to show some other videos to kind of back this up. If you're not a star seed, that means you are an earth soul, or some would call it an old soul. Okay? And what that simple mean is that, okay, each planet, and I probably should make it, because I was going to actually do another video and do like an old soul, new soul. Are you an old soul or a new soul? So I'm just going to stick on a topic right now and make it just really simple. Oh gosh, no, you know what? I'm just going to do everything. So basically what happened is that if you are a old soul or an earth soul, it just simply means that, well, okay, oh gosh, every planets are seeded, okay? As a planet, everybody has they are, what do you call it there, creators that have a certain job to do, and there are actually beings that go around and they create planets. Okay? And once a planet is ready to be seeded, then you have these other beings that seeds planet. Okay? And so in just like how I was told, somebody else, when in fact I've listened to her before, but I haven't really heard this particular tape. And in looking for something, I came across it, and I'm like, yes, that's it. Cannon, Dolores Cannon, and some of you might be familiar with her. She does these regressions, past life regression. So And just like I've been told that you have, as we, or any one of us who's become masters, or as a planet become evolve and we grow, then we also can seed a planet, or a master can seed a planet. So because we're become creators, master creators, so we can seed a planet. So once you get to that level, you can go around and you can see planets. Okay? So this planet was seeded. Okay? This planet was seeded, and there are different rules for every planet. This planet, when it was seeded, it was made a free, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Free zone, meaning free choice, because not all planets are like that. And so because it was done that way, that's why we're having a lot of the issues that we're having on this particular planet. Okay, so it has that duality, and there are other planets that has that duality. This is not the only one, and there are some that are just starting out, and we're probably a little bit ahead of them right now. We're getting ready to go on to that next level, and this is where this is so important. So there are starseeds from other planets who come in and help those those souls to help them evolve along. But those souls that are for that planet will continue to reincarnate on that same planet until they master out of that planet, if that makes sense. Okay? But they have to come and master that planet. And once they do, there is a place that they go, and there's a review, and they come back, that soul comes back. But that seed is you may want to say their home, where everybody goes back to. And once they embark on that journey to get seeded, they have to continue to incarnate until they actually evolve, until they actually grow, and master. Okay, so that's an old soul. So it depends on how many times they had to come back. They're an old soul. How do you tell your soul to be an old soul? To be honest with you, I don't know. Because I'm not an old soul, so I don't know. But I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to hone in on my higher self right now and see if I can tap into anything and just let you know. I'm not one of those people that has to go into a meditative state. I remember I used to do that, and my soul would be like, "Oh, we're right here. We're here now. You don't have to do that." And I'm like, "No, really, we're here." So anyway, and then you know, so I realized that I don't have to do this. I'm always in contact. So if I just silent myself, I can just actually know. Even though sometimes I'm like, okay, but I don't. Okay, so let me just be quiet for a moment and just see if I can tap into it. Well, not even if I can tap into. I don't know why I do that, but let me just see what will happen. Okay, so an old soul. An old soul, as you know, will always come back into and reincarnate into this lifetime. How you can tell you're an old soul is that you fit in perfectly. You don't feel disconnected. You don't feel, it's just the opposite. You don't feel like you're from somewhere else. You don't feel like you miss anywhere. This is your home. So it's very familiar to you. Depending on the lifestyle that you've actually lived before will determine how now that you will behave. And the life experience that you've had before will now actually mold the life that you are now living. You will either come in ready to go because of what you've learned before. Or you'll be ready, or you'll come into this life now, depending on your life before, kind of laxy daisy, having fun, blah blah blah. Maybe it's your first journey and your first soul in your time in. So you may not be an old soul, but you still might be earthbound. Okay? If you are an old soul, then a lot of the times what will happen is that you are ready for peace. You've been here before. Your soul doesn't actually remember and know it, but you feel it. There's a sense of like, okay, you know, that you're just ready. And so, depending on how many times you've actually been here and your life experiences before will determine how you are now. And some of the experience that you have now will help to trigger your past experience and what you actually need to know now. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to stop right there. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and show you some videos that would actually help to help explain this some further. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay guys, you are here in my computer. How nice. Alright, yeah, I actually tried doing this before and it so did not work. It's for some reason my audio, wasn't picking up my audio, and it just knocked me out, and I went through like the whole thing pretty much, and so I'm gonna go through it again. So Dolores Cannon, she's have this thing where she put people back and do past life regressions, and she's able to, and she kind of stumbled on this accidentally where she actually talks to people who are starseeds, and some of them are past lives, and then she's able to tap into some other informations while she does this. So here's what she has to say about the Starseeds, and as you can see here, it says volunteers, so they're not from here, okay? And I think, like I was saying before, there's two. There's Earth souls, and then there are souls that are sent here that are volunteered to come here. Totally different. Okay, let's hear what she has to say.
The Keepers of the Garden is where we had the first information about the seeding of the planet Earth and where we all came from. And then the Custodians is the story of my 25 years working with UFOs and ETs.
Okay, Mel, I don't know if I mentioned this a little bit before, but now the seeding of the planet. Yeah, I think I did mention that, where, you know, as you evolve and as different planets, you seed a planet. And you see that planet, those souls are for that planet, and they have to evolve throughout time by coming in and continue to reincarnate until they evolve a master. And we've had some people that have mastered, and they're gone, and they're not coming back, and they don't want to come back. Okay, and then the planet goes through a certain so often an evolution course where it shifts, and this is one of them that we're going through now, and they have called souls from other planetary systems to come in and help, and they're here from all over. Okay, so anybody that is touting this thing that we are all starseeds, that is not true. I have seen people, I don't know what it is that when it comes to people of color, I mean, that they always try to make them seem like they are, like they're, demean them in such a way. Um, we had this whole thing where they would say, okay, black people didn't have souls and certain things and blah blah blah. And now I've seen people that are saying that black people, people of color, are they're the only one that's not that weren't seated here, or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember where I saw this thing, and or that are not star seeds. I don't know, but it's something like that. There are star seeds that are in every single color, that are white, black. I don't like to say black. Color that are or Asian, that in every culture. That's the word. Star seeds that are in every culture throughout the world. Okay, and you have people, Earth people, Earth souls that are one race. They are. They are one race. I think I've seen people where they say that they have been seeded from different um, planets. That is not true. That is not true. Okay. Now, the Palladians also did not seed this planet. Okay, and that's another thing. Whenever it has to do with anything that resembles black, dark-skinned people, dark-skinned alien, they cover it up. They don't want you to know. Okay, the tall blacks were the ones who seeded this planet. Now there are other planets and cultures like the Palladium, from what I'm getting, help them in overseeing the planet. And the animals came from different star system. That much from what I'm getting is the animals came from different star system. However, the seeding of the planet was done by the tall blacks, and we've had people who've had interaction with them in some seeding, but you don't hear about them. And in fact, when you hear star seeds, you'll see this particular one, but never anything with a person of color. Well, anyway, that's my take on that, but that's sad. I don't know why they always do that. That whenever it has anything to do with people of color, they cover it up. That says a lot. That there is a reason why they purposely go out of their way to do that. And okay, let me keep going.
They expand upon this information.
But we're all one. We're all one. We need to cut that out. Oh. Okay, well, I am sorry for that little interruption. I think you just heard my dogs. But anyway, let me continue with Miss Cannon.
Because they said you must know the story of how life began on Earth. So I'm going to have to go back that far so you'll understand what's happening right now and why we're going into the new Earth and what's happening to the people in the three waves. It all fits together. Well, in the beginning of life on Earth, they said there are councils. There are councils over planets. There are councils over solar systems. There are councils over galaxies. Each one of them has rules and regulations that they live by. Nothing is random. Everything is very regulated out there. So they keep watch over all of the planets, and you can imagine what a job that would be. They keep track of everything, and they said in these councils are the history of all of the planets. They said when a planet reaches a point when it can support life, that's a very momentous time in the history of that planet. And at that time, they get to decide what kind of life are we going to introduce on that planet. And I think with this kind of a group, you can follow these things because people say, what does God have to do with any of this? God is very much involved too. It's the evolutionary theory and the creationist theory mixed together, and it all fits beautifully the way they explain it. But when I've had people in sessions go back to when the earth was forming, and whenever the volcanoes were erupting, there was no life on earth. There was just so much ammonia in the air. I've had them go back to those times and tell me what the life was like at that time. I've had them go to the times whenever life was being created. Many of you probably had these past lives too, but you don't remember these things on a conscious level. I've had them go to where they were helping form the oceans, form the first life. Because we've all been creators. We've all been... Well, what do? Do we wipe the whole thing out and start all over again? Or do we let it keep continuing? This was supposed to be a planet, a beautiful, beautiful planet with a species that would never get sick and never grow old. It was supposed to be a perfect species. Maybe that's where the idea of the Garden of Eden came from. I don't know. But it was supposed to be a perfect species. They said, give this beautiful people intelligence and free will. And
Oh, yeah. That's where that whole thing happened, where it was free will. And because it was free will, that opens up the door for a lot of mischief for malevolent, for beings that weren't always at the highest frequency and vibration to come in and cause trouble. So anyway, let's go on.
See what they do with it. Many planets in the universes don't have free will. I've had people go to those planets, and it's a totally different way of living if you don't have free will. Some of them are really glad to get out of that life because they're not at all what you think. But free will is very important. So they said we cannot ever go against the free will. So they give us free will. That's what was supposed to happen. We were never supposed to grow old. We were never supposed to die. We were never supposed to get sick. But something happened that spoiled the plan. A meteorite hit the earth. And when the meteorite hit the earth, it brought in bacteria for the first time that created disease. Before that, there wasn't anything. And they were heartbroken. There was a show on Nova years ago where they were talking about the different kinds of life on Earth. They said there's two kinds of life on Earth: bacteria and everything else. That the bacteria was the foreign element. It didn't belong. And this is what created disease. But when this happened, they said, what are we going to do now? They went back to the councils and they had the meetings, and there was great sadness in the councils. It was like, well, what do? Do we wipe the whole thing out and start all over again? Or do we let it continue to develop the way it is, knowing it will never be the perfect people we expected it to be? It was decided that so much work had been done to allow it to continue to develop.
Wow, doesn't that so sound like the Bible, where it talked about where the weeds and started to grow in the garden, and God asked, they asked, should we pluck the weeds out? And it says, no, just let it all grow together. That's what that kind of remind me of. So anyway, but I think they did try to. Well, anyway, let's go on.
Even though they knew it would never be perfect. Now, see, a lot of this I think you would go along with if I do UFO lectures on why they're doing the experimentations with the sperms and the ova and all of that. They are bringing us back to the perfect state we are supposed to be. You understand all of these things. There's no negativity in what any of them are doing. They've been taking care of us since the beginning of time. One time they said in one of the sessions, why do people keep saying we're here to take over the world? It's ours, it always has been. We can't do anything to you as bad as you do to yourself. So they've been watching us all this time and taking care of us. And as they lived with the people, they were given these different inventions and things as the time was right. Fire, agriculture. When the species got to that point, they would give them the next invention. Of course, now it's got to the point they can't live among us anymore. There's too many people. So now when the next invention is supposed to be developed, it's put into the atmosphere. They don't care who invents it as long as it is invented in the timeline.
Okay, so what she is saying is that there is messages, download, information that is being sent, and that's why you get people. I don't know if you've ever heard this. That's where you have people that would, they'll come up with the same. That I had that idea, but it's whosoever brings it to the full fruition first. That's gets the prize. So it's just out there. It's energy, and we tap into it. It's like we're all going to pick it up. There's a lot of us that are going to. Not every single one of us are going to receive it, but for those who receive it, it's kind of like whosoever can bring it to. But anyway, we're kind of getting off. I really wanted to get on. I think there's a part over here where let's see.
Around it, and it will never really be what it was supposed to be. But they said they're really worried about it because they said these kids don't know what they're playing around with. They just came through this horrible war. They can't take care of them. They are not allowed to interfere unless we get to the point we could destroy the world. If that were to happen, it would cause reverberations throughout the whole solar system and into other parts of the galaxy. You have no idea what it would do if this little planet, we're isolated over here on purpose. We're a young planet. They want to keep us away from everybody else. They don't want us to contaminate the rest of those planets. But if this little insignificant planet were to destroy itself, it would send reverberations out, and it would also go into other dimensions and interfere with lives of other people on other planets, that it would be like undeclared war. You can't even begin to believe the reverberations it would have if something happened to this planet. So they said that's the only way they could ever interfere. But if we reached the point we were going to destroy the world, then they would have to step in. This has happened countless times through history, and I'm going to be going over some of that. Oh, but they've always been there. This is the thing. So they knew that atomic power was so dangerous in the hands.
Wow, I wanted her to get to the point where she just said the only way was that we can incarnate. Let me just see if she actually says that.
Families, all of this. So that was what my therapy was all about. It's understanding the totality of the whole thing. Well, first of all, God is not a man. This is what some of the speakers have been talking about the whole time here. God is not a man. You've got to get over that. God was this huge, bright light.
Oh my gosh, I think I had it the last time when I did it.
These volunteers are coming from two different places. What do we do now? We can't come in and say,
oh, here we go.
Stop it, you can't do it. That's interference. They came up with what I thought is a brilliant plan. They went back to the councils, they had meetings on this. They said, all right, we can't interfere from the outside. Maybe we can influence from the inside. So they came up with a brilliant plan.
To incarnate.
The people on Earth aren't doing it.
Okay, I remember when I was actually told this, and well before I've actually seen her stuff, which was years ago, I was told that this is what was going on, that they were incarnating people. But this is actually, I think, started even before I was born, but it was around, I think, that same age. When it was around there. There might have been a first wave before me, or I might have been part of the first wave. I'm not sure how, but I forgot when she said the first wave started. But I know I'm kind of like either second or first wave. I think I'm more like second. But anyway, or because even the first wave even came through in different phases too. So anyway, all right. All right. Well, whoops. I'm taking a little bit too long that I actually wanted to. I took too long on that. Let me go to the next one. This guy actually talks about, and I have to. All right.
Starseed and old soul. So there are two types of soul that we could be any one of them. There are multiple types of soul according to the experience that soul has undergone as a plant, animal, and human being. In human being, multiple form. Usually, there are multiple classification. Many philosophers and spiritual people have segregated, particularly in our Hindu philosophy. If you look at the script, even the Atma itself is divided into multiple elements and various senses. They have dissected it. But usually, you hear a term, he's a star seed or he's a old soul. So, what is the difference? If you feel that, if you want to know that whether you are a star seed or an old soul, so there are two different important categories of soul. I'll just share the difference. Starseed or the soul, they usually don't belong to this earth conscious, okay? They come from a very different dimension. They come from a completely different constellation. They come from a very different, a different side of the consciousness where we all belong to as earth. So usually they have that they don't belong to this place. They have this feeling that this place is not my place, earth is not my place, these human beings are not my people, or they don't find that kind of attachment to those people or anything around. They feel like completely detached. They feel they are alienated out. So they have this quality. They're like, I don't think I belong to this place. Maybe I'm born in a wrong time or in a wrong place. They always have that feeling inside them. They don't get attached into anything. You might have noticed some people, they feel like they're totally different. Maybe you might say, you should have been born in 1970s, or should have been born, you're too advanced, I think you should have born after 20 years. So those kind of people. Not only that, and they also get a lot of repeated dreams in their life. So they always have kind of a...
Yes, this is true. I've had those. I mean, not just like maybe 4 or 5 different dreams, just over and over and over.
A repeated dream cycle which happens in their life, and usually it will be an out of body experience. They usually travel very fast outside their body in the sleep.
That is also true. I mean, I know I do it at night very quickly, and I know I do it sometimes when I meditate, but I didn't realize how fast I actually do it until one day I was talking to a friend of mine, and I told her that I had an experience, and then when I was coming back, I felt like this, when I woke up, I felt like this pressure on my chest, and she said, "Oh my God, that's you had an out of body experience, and that's usually the symptoms they say of when And I'm like, oh wow. So I just totally didn't know, but it was fast, and but anyway, let me continue here.
They quickly, just like that, they go out and they can sense information and come back. And some of the qualities I'll share. Another quality they possess is that or if they're really in pain, they tend to give everything to them.
I want to go on to
they are in a different place, and what is their objective is they are come here to give some wisdom to the These kinds of people, they do not think in a usual pattern like logic, or they go through their intuition. They're very sharp and they're very emotionally, they are even recognize those emotional difference they undergo. Like they might be very strong. People might see, some people when you see, they feel like it is entered the earth to give some.
Okay, also.
So it is a universal consciousness, that is a nature which has called them to the earth.
Okay.
Old soul are
Okay,
people,
there
like
we
we
go.
all know
Old
that
soul.
soul has a different age and the body has a different age, right? So there might be a baby, you might have a baby, but he might be an old soul. He might have taken at least 50 or 100 human birth. You might be a 50 or a very lesser, like 10 or 15 human birth you might have taken. So you might have noticed your child would be far more matured. They were ahead of their time. Usually for their age, they'll think a little bit more like a old person. So.
Okay, now there's a difference between a child being mature than their age or a little bit ahead of their time. Because some starseeds, because they're so advanced, they would tend to seem like they're ahead of their time. This is a little bit different than somebody who's just a little bit more mature. So not to confuse the two, because I know I was like way ahead of my time when I was growing up. Anyway.
So like for example, some people when they meet me, they say like you talk like you're 70 or 80-year-old guy. When I was in 20s or 18s, people used to say like, hey, you are talking like almost you retired and all your kids are settled. It is an old soul. What they is like they have seen enough in their life. They've taken enough beatings in their life, and they are usually like they don't quickly show any expression. They are like expressionless people because they know they have emotions, but the problem is they don't waste their energy in expressing it. They know it is just temporary. Emotions are always temporary. They really don't bother too much. They wait patiently for one more day. If they are disturbed, you can always see them like, okay, let me sleep for a day. Tomorrow I'll be fine. They know that, okay, it will go on. Usually they are at the...
Okay, so I'm just going to take a break from him, but I think you get the idea. I wanted him to go into the whole soul. Now there is another young lady that I would like you to listen to, because she just comes straight to the point.
It's that time again. Welcome to another episode of Hello from the Other Side. I am Natalie Miles.
Okay, here we go.
Around starseeds. So I wanted to touch upon this in this episode to give you more insight. So, who are starseeds? Starseeds are advanced beings who are from a different star, a different galaxy, who have basically come down to our planet to help us evolve and grow and really help the evolution of the human race. I know, it's pretty cool, right? Which is why that not all human beings are starseeds. Some of us are and some of us aren't. And there's no difference, there's no speciality of like, oh, I really want to be a starseed, because it just doesn't work like that. But there are some characteristics around starseeds and knowing if you are or if you are one, because a lot of this energy obviously starts when you're a young child, because as the starseed you then get put into a human body, and it can feel really foreign and it can feel really strange as you're suddenly living this human existence where you are.
Okay, so that's what I was actually talking about, that the entrance is really dramatic. So actually from a young age that something's wrong, something is different, and your experience will start to be different. Now I hope you don't hear those little chatter feet around. I'm trying to part of it is my dog, and so anyway, that is pretty much the idea, and I think you got the idea that, I don't know, if you're hearing people say that there is no difference, then that is not true. I think I've shown you some credible people, especially Miss Cannon, that tells you that these people are volunteers that come in to help, and when they leave and go back to where they're from. Okay, so in that saying, I hope that clarifies anything. So if you've actually been hearing people say all of us are starseeds, that is incorrect, and I hope I helped clarified everything for you guys, without any doubt. Okay, so all right, so thank you so much for listening. Please go ahead and like, share. Hopefully this has been very helpful to you. So like, subscribe, and feel free to share. Okay, thank you guys. See you again, and you have a wonderful day.